Hello, everybody. Um, I'm excited about Behold Hub. I'm trying to come out with some companion videos to practice a little bit of what we've been doing with the articles. And for this one, I'm doing React and following what we've done like on the very first article, which is all about the installation of React. And I wanted to do this in a fun way, in a way that everybody understands. So if we go straight away for the terminal, you see that I'm using Mac. I wanted to show that I have this command npm. In order for me to have npm, I need to have Node. Node is already installed on my computer, and I'm gonna close it right now. Control C and Control C again, and here I am. In order for me to have it, I need to go to the Node website, Node.js. And here we can go to download, and I can download the version for macOS. And here it basically says that it's using NVM with npm, which is totally fine, right? We just need to make sure that we download this. And by having that, we double click and initiate the installation. By doing that, eventually, then we can go to the terminal and we will see that we have the npm command, right? Now, there are some ways that we can install React on our computers. And if I check where I am right now, I'm on the folder users Rafael Polanski. I don't know, maybe I'll create like another one here. Let me see here. I'm gonna open my desktop, and I'll create a directory here called lab. So mkdir lab is what does that. So we see that we have a lab directory here. I'm gonna open that right now. And I can do a command here to basically install React. I just wanted to show that I can take a look into the version of Node that I have, which is version 20. And I can take a look into the version of NPM, which is version 10, right? What I can do is that I can go for a npx create React app, and I can give a name to it. I'm gonna call it Behold Hub Lab. You see that it's everything here lowercase, and this is demanded when it comes to React. I'm gonna show that in a second with IntelliJ as well. If I do that, it's asking if it's okay to proceed. I'm gonna say yes. And then it is installing everything that is needed for React, React DOM, React scripts, and CRA template. So we're gonna wait on that. And then we're gonna have another folder installed with the components inside it. And that's exactly what we're gonna be seeing in a second. It is still installing. We're gonna have like a bunch of files and folders here, and it brings all the log. It tells us that we have all these different commands available to us. npm start, which is the one we're gonna use to start the server. npm run build, which is needed for us to compile our files to make it ready for production. npm test, in case we want to do some sort of a test with like a test files. And eject, which is again dangerous. I talk a little bit about that with the article, but this is all about trying to make sure that everything is running locally on your computer without any type of external dependency. Once you do that, there is no way for you to come back. So just do that if you are really sure. Otherwise, you might need to just delete everything and start over. But a key thing here that I wanted to share is that now I'm under the lab folder. I'm gonna check what is inside, and there's another folder called Behold Lab. So let's open it, and here we have a README file. We have a directory with like all the Node modules that got installed. We have a package lock.json, package.json. We have a public folder and an SRC folder. I'm gonna show all those things in details through the IDE. We're gonna use IntelliJ, but I just wanted to show that inside SRC we have all those different types of files that come together as part of the package, the installation package. So I'm gonna do now a npm start. If I do that, it's going to install the server. It's going to start the server, and I need to press allow here, and boom, it's opening my local host under port 3000, and this is my React program actually working at this moment based on the code that is part of the standard. So with this explained, now I'll go back. I'll close this first of all. I'll go back to my terminal. I will Control C. So now the server is off. If I go back here, try to run localhost, you see that nothing works. That's because I stopped the server. And what I'm gonna do, if you wanna follow what I'm doing actually, right? I will go back to desktop, and I will delete these lab. Well, I'll keep it for now. Maybe I'll keep it and then we can have it as a reference, because if I do IntelliJ, I'm gonna create like something called lab2. But that's my next exercise. Now let's go to IntelliJ. Once again, my favorite IDE, right? I'm gonna create a new project, and I'm gonna call that lab2. Now the one thing here I wanted to share is that if I try to do that with like uppercase, once again I'm choosing React. React Native is needed for mobile applications, and Next.js is another framework. I'm gonna talk about that on a future article. So let's stick with React. So this is the Node version, and this is the command, npx create React app. You guys remember that, right? We just did it, and that's how we created the project. If I push create, is it gonna work? Nope, it's not gonna work. And the reason is because I have uppercase with the L here. So this is a requirement with React, and unfortunately, IntelliJ doesn't tell us like what's wrong. So we need to figure out that here we need to change the letter from upper L to small l, and now this is gonna work. It will create a React file for us, and we can take a look in a second. So you see here that we have this nice terminal here, and it sounds like it completed everything. So if we check now, we have lab2. We can skip .idea because this is a IntelliJ folder, but here we have everything that is part of the React library that got installed with the command. Public is where we have a favicon. We have some of those PNG files that are needed for the actual execution. I have another article that I talk about these other files, right? But basically, robots.txt is for us to allow Google to find our application, right? So basically, we're saying user agent star. That means that Google can find us. And this allow is if we want to add any type of command that refuses any type of interaction with the agent coming from Google. So we're not changing anything here. In fact, this is just part of the template as you install it. Here, this manifest JSON is where you have the name you want to give to your application, and then what is the description, and then this is where it's connecting with all those PNG files, right? The logo, the favicon. So if I want to change the favicon, I can basically just replace this file. Here it mentions what is the size and what is the type, right? I can definitely remove all that if I don't need it. Under SRC, that's where we have the actual files that are part of the template. But before I do that, the one thing I wanted to share is that you see that we have this index.html file. Well, this is the HTML that calls React underneath the blanket. So we check here that we have some metadata arguments, and here we have link references. Here it's pointing to the logo, and here it's pointing to manifest.json, which once again is the file that tells us like what are those icons and PNGs and the name of the application and so on and so forth. We also have some additional attributes here for background color, display, and theme color. The most important part for us is to know that here is where the title is defined. So for now it's called React App. And here, what is doing here? It's basically a body with a div tag that says the ID is root. Now this root ID is important, and why is that? That is because through this argument here, through this root name, it will go to this index.js file that is here, which actually defines that the root constant comes from a command called react.dom.createRoot, trying to search for that root. So here, basically, it's wrapping what is inside this div under this variable. And then it calls a command render that will execute these 3 lines. Now, react.strict mode is just something that gets executed in development mode. In fact, it's ignored in production mode. This is just to make sure that we can execute commands twice. And as we're debugging, we see those executions happening, and we can trace whether this is working correctly or not. The most important part, we can definitely ignore this for now. The most important part is that it's calling this tag, app. Now, why this app is important? Well, it's important because from here, let's look into the chain. From index.html, it calls index.js, which then calls app, which is app.js, which is this one here. And here is where we have the code that renders all the information that we had a chance to see where we executed the program. And it shows learn React. Now, I know that we have some additional files here. We also have a index CSS, which is here. We have some additional files here like report, web vitals, setup, test. Those are for test needs. And then we have another CSS here to make it prettier, which we can ignore for now. But the key thing I wanted to emphasize is that the actual React program is coming from this file, app.js, which executes this. And now I have some options. I can basically run through IntelliJ npm start, or alternatively, I can do the same thing that I've done with the command line. If I go to terminal, there's this terminal here, right? it's taking me to the terminal, and you see that those are the files that got created as part of Lab 2. Now, if I execute, once again, npm start, boom, it's going to run in a very similar fashion that happened with the terminal outside of IntelliJ. It's the same thing. And remember, this is the code that is calling app. And then app.js is rendering these. It's making this logo turn. And then, of course, we have this link, React, that takes us to the official guide. So far, so good, hopefully. I'm going to close this. I just want to share that another alternative, once again, I can push Ctrl-C. And now the server is no longer working. If I, again, go to localhost, nothing happens. I can alternatively take a look into the configuration here. This npm start, basically saying that the package.json is this file, which runs this command run with the script start. And then I can just push run, and we're gonna have, I'm gonna have the same thing happening here. So just wanted to show you that IntelliJ also offers you this opportunity to execute everything through the push of a button. Okay, back to the code. What else can I show you here, right? Like basically it shows that you can open through localhost, but also it offers you a IP address with port 3000. You can do the same thing opening through that. Of course, it says not secure because it's not HTTPS, it's HTTP. But yes, it's another opportunity here to execute that if needed. Another important thing I wanted to share, we have this file package.json. Well, some of you may be familiar with Java and then Spring Boot, where you have your pom.xml, which is where you define the libraries. It's the same concept here. If you're not familiar, it's fine as well. But I just wanted to share that here with this package.json, that's where you define, one, the name of your application. You can give a version to it. On this case, it's like a 0.1.0. We're saying that this is private rule, but then this is where we have all those dependencies, all those files, those libraries that are required to be installed. And then we inform like what is the version of React, what is the version of React DOM, the version of React scripts, and Web Vitals. And here's where we have all those scripts. Remember, we have start that initiates everything, build that compiles everything, test, which is to allow us to have smart tests, similar to JUnit, right? Like you can come out with your own test and it's going to say that everything is working or not. And then eject, where you have everything running locally. And then you have some additional configurations here. ESLint is like for your compilation efforts to see if something specific in particular needs to be warned as you are coding. And then some additional attributes here, either for production, development, what is the version of each one of your browsers. I'm not going to be covering those in details right now. Package log.json is not supposed to be changed, but while you're having package.json pulling all those dependencies, every time you make changes, it versions everything through package log.json. It's a way for React to know what's going on, what is the history of changes. And if we stop this for a second, I'm going to open terminal again. I wanted to share that if you execute npm install, what's going to happen? It will go to package.json. It's going to check everything that is here and then reinstall everything under this no modules folder, which is exactly what's going to happen now. I'm going to just show you, right? But then, yes, it installed everything. It says that we have some vulnerabilities, 3 moderate, 6 high. But the bottom line, it just pulled all the information from package.json and add it to your libraries. Sometimes you need to do that. If you add like more libraries here, you just go for npm install. What I like to do, and I know that this video is getting longer, but I just wanted to do that as a last step. Let's quickly take a look into npm test. If we check our file here, app test.js, basically it says it's a test and it renders learn React link so long as there is a app tag and the text learn React in your code. On our case, we know that we have that because if we take a look into this file, Ctrl F to search, learn React. So we know that we have this string here, right? And then this is doing that. It's checking if this statement is available if we execute it, right? So npm test is going to run that. And then it's going to check, okay, A to run all tests, F to run only failed test. I'm going to do A. I want to run everything. And then it says there is a test suite, one passed, right? And then it shows that indeed we found this learn React as we executed the file. If I push W to see more information, then it allows us to quit and filter. We can do some additional things here. We can test quickly here. If I do P, for example, I could like add a pattern, right? Still, I'm gonna just say learn, and then it says pattern matching the files. But if I do star, yeah, I'm not gonna be covering that in details, right? Like this is a little beyond even what I've tested before, but yes, I'll go and hit ask here. And Control C, and we're done. Now the last thing I will do, as we installed everything, I'll make sure that I delete things that are no longer needed, right? So for example, index.html, I definitely need it, but then of course, all these PNG files and this ICO, yes, I know it's cool that we have this icon, but I'll delete those, right? Let's make sure that we have a clean environment. So I'll just select those, command, selection. I'm gonna hit delete. I need these. Manifest.json, I need it as well, right? But I will delete all those references to images because those are not required. I'm gonna call that lab or behold hub lab. And then I'm gonna say something like this is our lab. And I'll keep the rest. I'll delete this robots.txt. See that we're now very clean. I don't want to have a CSS file. I can talk about that later. I need this, but then I will delete everything here that is not required. We're gonna have like a brand new code, and I will delete this reference class name app because once again, we no longer have a CSS, right? And I'm gonna say here, hello world. So this is the very minimum we need, right? I can remove this reference here because it's no longer required. I can remove this reference here to import a CSS file because it no longer exists. And we have a very short code here, which is a function which only returns the div hello world, and it exports this function. I will delete this test.js. I no longer need it. I'll delete the CSS file. no longer need it. Index.js, I need it, so I'll keep, but I don't want to have this report Web Vitals. I think that this is something we can worry on the future. CSS file we no longer have. I'll delete it as well. We can keep this as is. And those files, report Web Vitals and setup test, I will remove all those files and these SFG as well. See guys, like this is being very, very short now, right? And I'm keeping the JSON, of course, because I need it. But the one thing here I wanted to share is that we only have these two files here. We only have these two files. If I execute my code, now I'm gonna have hello world. And here we have a hello world. I think this is a good moment for us to stop. The only thing here I wanted to share as well is that we have a command called nvm, which allows us to change the node version, right? So for example, the version that I have right now for node is version 20. If I wanted to change this to another version, that would be nvm use, and then I'm saying, I don't know, whatever version, 18, right? And now I'm using node 18, but I want to stick with 20, right? I just wanted to show you that this command exists as well. It's super important to know that yes, you have node as a way to have all the information required to install npm. You have nvm as a way to navigate across different versions for node. And then once you have your npm command, that's how you install information from package.json. That's how you conduct a npm start, where you run everything. And here we just had a chance to have our hello world. Guys, it was not that straightforward for me going straight away to hello world. I was navigating across different sets, but I believe that this is a good way to demonstrate what I had in mind. I hope that you enjoyed. I can definitely share a little more and grow from hello world to something more, so you can see the different things that the React offers, including the hooks. I just consider myself to be like an enthusiast, not only for React, but for Java, for Python, for machine learning, and product management. And I'm going to continue to use this website to post content. And I hope that you enjoy, and of course, looking forward to have your feedback. With that being said, wishing you an amazing rest of your day. Bye-bye.